Good morning, everyone. I would like to dedicate my intervention to the memory of one of my elementary teachers. When I was 8 years old, I had the luck to have a wonderful teacher. Back then, there were many in Italy. And one of the first things he taught me was to understand and believe to the message of Our Lady of Fatima. And when I had the luck to meet the friends of this great association, of this great apostolate, it seemed to me like, as we say in Italy, we heard the call of the forest, the call of the message of Fatima. Just arrived from Strasbourg, from a plenary session of the European Parliament, and from there I have the pleasure to bring you the best greetings of two of my colleagues who are very close to you. One is also politically close to my group, is the Honorable Fontana, who also has a message for Father Gruner. And another one, important as well, from the President of the European Commission for Petitions, Mrs. Ermilia Mazzoni, of whom I am now about to read a part of her message addressed to the conference. The path to peace requires the involvement of all institutions, both civilian, military, and religious. The Association Madonna di Fatima, the Fatima Apostolate, joins in this process of peace by bringing in Europe and in the world the message of peace. The objective to reconcile Russia to the Catholic faith and to the devotion to the Sacred Heart of Mary, to the Immaculate Heart of Mary, has been also entrusted to the European Parliament by means of a petition, which asks for a decision by the European Union on this direction. The agreements of cooperation and partnership between the European Union and Russia could be really the perfect ground to build up this new sentiment of peace. The dramatic news of the conflict in Syria, which sees the nations of the world divided, show how it's necessary to set a new dialogue based on shared values. My hope is that, apart from technicisms, the work of the Association Madonna di Fatima may sensibilize the institution of the European Union towards this new and different approach. I would like to start my speech this morning by giving a broader vision possible of the economical, political, as well as military scenario of the world right now, in order to understand better what the message of Our Lady of Fatima tells us in order to overcome this terrible situation and make sure that this doesn't end up in what, unfortunately, seems to be the next future, that is war. I've been a member of the Special Commission of the European Parliament on the financial crisis, where we heard many voices by important researchers and scholars of the financial world. You will remember what happened in 1929 and in 2008. Well, during that commission, we heard quite a few voices, and one of that was of an expert, which I insisted that the commission would listen to. I was hit by the fact that he was the general director of the UN Agency Against Drugs, and that this man pointed his finger on a quite terrifying reality, which main newspaper and media have ignored. He said that, and he repeated that in front of the European deputies. This phrase was, this statement of his, was backed by facts and arguments, and it was really enlightening. For you, like me, who have a clear idea what's going on behind the curtains and behind the international financial speculation, he said that the international drug trafficking and this moves huge capitals, billions and billions of dollars all over the world. It is one of the worst trafficking possible. And this capitals, this money, passes through the official banking system. This denounce in front of the European Parliament, of course, was silenced, and very few newspapers spoke about it, because the author of this denounce, these statements, is Dr. Costa, an Italian, and he had the courage to stand up and say the truth. I believe that it is now clear to everyone, or at least to all who have the patience to follow the international events, actually going beyond what they want you to believe. But in many cases, this is so evident, although only God knows how grave and evident is the intervention of his hidden powers behind the financial, strategical, and military crisis like the one we are about to face, and which could lead us to unimaginable consequences. It is obvious that this new world order, this global government, has its own objectives, which aim at keeping our people under control by illegitimate authorities who maneuver and guide us behind the curtains and using hidden organizations. There is a control plan for our opinions to control the public opinion. Let's see what happened with the NSA. So I believe that our governments should do better should better take care of the human rights, not just in words, but also should defend our right to privacy and not being observed or controlled when there are no serious reasons for it. On this, I would like to mention what Rockefeller used to say once. Someone believed that we are part of a Kabbalah, accusing me of my family of being internationalists and to conspire with other people of the planet in order to build up a secret political and economical structure in the world. If this is the accusation, Rockefeller concluded, I declare myself guilty, and I'm proud to be. The crisis of 2008 was orchestrated by these institutions for very specific goals. We just need to go back to 1950 to what Jean Monnet said about the European Union. Men do not accept change if not during a necessity, facing a necessity, and they do not see any necessity to do it unless they are in the middle of a crisis. Well, this is a prophecy which I think is is depicting what's happening right now and has speed up the construction of the European Union. I'm talking about my point of view, and I think that here in Canada, for historical reason, might be a very important place where I can explain what these words and this kind of reasoning has for the construction of the European Union. I would like to add, for instance, that the Central Bank of Europe, BCE, limits the powers of the governments of the member states of the European Union. And the creation of such a Central European Bank has brought up to the elimination of the monetary sovereignty of member states. Right now, Italians, Germans, French, they don't have anymore their sovereignty on their currency. It all is in the hands of the European Central Bank, which is not under control. Nobody can control it. I am a European parliamentary, a European deputy, and I do not have the right to put under investigation the choices made by the European Central Bank, even if they are penalizing against my people. And this happens while the International Monetary Fund destroys the real economy, which is based on agriculture, small industries, artisanship, or destroys savings, like imposing taxes on houses or imposing austerity policies. I declare myself guilty is actually trying to introduce a project that seems to come directly from 1984 of Orwell, a new language, in order to eliminate from its vocabulary, from its official documents, certain words which are considered taboo. For instance, the words identity, ethnics are eliminated. We must be deprived of our cultural identity. We must melt ourselves in a melting pot, something similar all over the world. And you can well see this is a very hidden, strange, and quite scary project. And whoever wants to oppose to this monopoly, which is also a language monopoly now, are immediately labeled with words that seem coming from another age: Nazists, nationalists, populists, racists. We have reached the point where loving our people is a negative fact. Politically speaking, this became an insult now. And this says says a lot about which are the interests of these people. In Europe, there are millions of unemployed, and in many countries, among which Italy, many companies and middle and small companies are closing. But Europe is spending billions and billions of euros in surveillance programs in order to control public opinion on the internet and in other venues, in order to combat skepticism about the European Union, in order to fight whoever thinks that this situation is not right. There are more than 190 projects financed in order to control public opinion: Pandora, Tiramisu, Fidelity, and many more. There's the project Index, financed in order to denounce and close any tiny website which might attack the European Union policies, even the smallest or tiniest dissents. In France, young people have been indicted because they were protesting against the homosexual marriage, but they were just sitting in front of the Senate, protesting in silence, without saying a word, and they have arrested them. Well, I believe that there's a strategy behind these projects, as well as behind this mass migration flows. Many misunderstood probably what Pope Francis said to the people of the world when he came to Lampedusa, the Italian island, which was affected by many landings, especially in the last year. I was there many times in the past, especially when the immigrants first arrived a couple of decades ago. Many thought that Pope Francis said, "Open the doors to everyone." No. His message actually condemned those who force the people to leave their own land. And behind this world project, there are these hidden powers we very well know. And I believe it is very important to underline these aspects in order to open our eyes, but also in order to convey to you some positive signals that are occurring here and there. For instance, in France, about this so-called gay marriage, there has been a popular reaction which was quite unexpected. More than 1 million people gathered spontaneously in Paris. And this because in our people, the values are still strong and present. Some values that the very strong propaganda, the hidden propaganda of the government was not able to demolish yet. In their hearts, the people is healthy. This influence, this nefarious influence of mass media must strengthen us, must forces to actually help the few media like Fatima TV to help this media, and I hope to obtain from a very important radio in the north of my country, it's Radio Padana, a space, a radio space, in order to convey the message coming from the Apostle of Father Gruner, in order to open the eyes to our people. If it's true what a journalist said in Italy, that is, that the role of press is not to inform, but to educate the public in order to guide their decisions, so that the journalist's duty is not to inform, but to educate the public. Well, with this kind of educators, we have seen what is going on: drug, homosexuality, pedophilia, everything that is sad and tragic. This absurd rush to obtain riches by exploiting the work of others, not the righteous earning of who runs a company, but of who exploits the people by impoverishing them with financial maneuvers and financial measures. But for this, we must thank God for giving us a Pope such as Pope Francis, because Pope Francis every day is pointing out against the enemy that we need to fight. The enemy is who wants the poverty of the people, who speculates on the people. And the Pope is asking us to live a more modest life, respecting the condition of who is not able to live a decent life. Within this global project that is trying to control the world, there are some institutions, some hidden groups like the Trilateral Commission or the Bilderberg Group, who are deciding the future of the people. And I saw that in Italy myself. There was this politician who was really nobody before. His name is Letta, a simple deputy of a party, of center-left party. But just by the fact of being affiliated to this organization, the Bilderberg Group, he was imposed to become the president of the Council of Ministers of Italy without being elected. Nobody elected him to become our president, but he's now the head of the government. Okay. These people have been imposed us from above. They seem like puppets in the hands of who really controls policy and finances. For instance, Van Rompuy, he is the president of the European Council, and which should be a world power determining the world policy, but obviously we can see how strong is the voice of Europe, and I say this obviously ironically. Even the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of the European Union has been unheard during the Syrian crisis. It seemed like she was sleeping. Well, the former ambassador, US ambassador in Germany, said that the Rome Treaty, the treaty that created the European common market, was actually decided during Bilderberg meetings. And I think that we must have clear ideas about these subjects. And I really hope and wish that soon the Association Madonna di Fatima, that is the Italian apostolate of Father Gruner, will have a newspaper which we will help contribute spreading in Italy. And I really hope that during our next meeting in Rome, in occasion of the anniversary of the Miracle of the Sun, during the consecration of October 13th, 2013, we will be able to spread in the Eternal City and in the Vatican an official and significant document which we hope will open the eyes of the Roman people, of the Italian people, in this terrible and such delicate condition of the history of the world. The same conflict in Syria that seemed to be a fight for democracy and freedom, as a matter of fact, is a war of religion, which sees opposing, on one hand, one of the worst part of Islam, intolerant and racist, against all the other minorities in Syria. And that is happening under the flag of Assad. In Syria, the issue at stake is behind the identity and to a certain religion. We have a poor father missionary, Father Dall'Oglio, who was there in order to bring them the word of peace, the word of the gospel, the word of Jesus Christ, but he has not came back yet, and probably he has been killed by jihadists. Well, I think it is time to stand up and raise our voice. And in Rome, on October 13th, we will remember the rights of the Christian community in Syria. Because newspapers say us a lot of things, but during this crisis, there have been many Christian boys killed in Manola, a small town near Damascus, which was site of terrible fightings, and Christians have been chased down and killed. And this is a place where the people speak Aramaic, that is the language of Jesus Christ. But press doesn't say anything about it. We must say it, because we all feel like we are there in Manola, and I am working with other colleagues of mine to go there in person, to go to Damascus, and hopefully in that small city as well, which is a symbol of all the Christians who are fighting with their blood in order to defend their identity, their religion in Jesus Christ. It is our duty to do it. To conclude, winds of war in the last weeks are causing issues and troubles even to the most powerful man in the world, that is President Obama, who is quite uncertain in the road to take, and he goes zigzagging here, zigzag to the left, to the right. We don't know where he's going. But in their circumstances, the Europe, which I feel to represent, even if I do not share or agree with its choices, well, the Europe is silent. The major newspapers are not explaining us what's going on. They're not telling us not even who used the gas, the nervine gas. We only know that hundreds and hundreds of people died, killed by that gas. Well, we're facing a crisis that reminds me that of Cuba, but it's 1,000 times more serious because of the chemical, bacteriological, nuclear weapons which we have now, which are 1,000 times more powerful of those we had in that remote year. Well, I believe we must be very careful to the signals, though. Think about the almost miraculous halt to the crisis. It's a decision that arrived from Russia. They say, halt, not do it. And with its diplomatic activity, made the United States step back. Well, don't you see a coincidence here? It's Russia. It's always Russia. Well, we must think at the prophetical words of Our Lady, and we feel compelled to hear, to understand and obey to those words. I see a world which is on the verge of a third world war, which could be probably the last war ever. And I believe, though, that there is a light of hope, a hope that comes to this battle where we decided to fight thanks to the teaching and guidance of Father Nicholas Gruner, to whom I feel to give my a feeling of obedience and great admiration. Dear Father Gruner, I believe that you have created the central core of a great resistance against the dark and obscure powers who want to bring us to destruction, who wants to destroy our values and the world created by God. In order to go back to what was before a big Christian res publica, Europe should be probably its central essence, where the values of humility, obedience, poverty, and true solidarity are present, like Pope Francis said. And I'm talking about true solidarity, not the demagogicus one of whoever wants, or who wants immigration at all costs. No, I'm talking about who wants to help people, the people, in their own territory, to make them free and not slaves of multinationals or high finance. Well, I want to salute this assembly, this convention, and I'm telling that I am with you. We will be with you, many of us. These new crusaders, these new members of the association Friends of Our Lady of Fatima that we're organizing in Italy, I am sure will bring to the liberation of our people from these dark powers and make us live in a world that is the one wanted by our Lord. Thank you, and my best regards to all of you.
Pray a great deal and make sacrifices for sinners, for many souls go to hell because they have no one to make sacrifices and pray for them. In the final vision on October 13, 1917, Our Lady silently held out the scapular, a gesture which indicates that she wants everyone to wear it.